Letting go doesn't mean giving up. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. Letting go doesn't mean you quit. Letting go in this scenario means I am letting go of the things that are not serving me, that are not for me, and that are ultimately getting in the way of the vitality, the fluidity, and the flow of my ambition. Without self-trust, you will never, ever fully get to know your true self. It's impossible. Your soul, your intuition, your authentic self speaks to you through your heart. Your values are going to dictate your standards. My values are going to impact my decision-making process in any moment in my life, in every domain of my life. Most people don't know their core values. They actually don't know their core values. If I asked you right now, I'm asking you right now, I want you to think about it. Give me your top 5 core values. Can you fucking fire them off? Real talk, real wisdom. All heart, all in. This is The Roxanne Show. Welcome back to another episode of The Roxanne Show. Today, one of my favorite kinds of episodes, Q&A. Why is it my favorite or one of my favorites? Because I love hearing from you guys. I love being able to get very unique, specific questions from all of you and do my best to answer them for you. So we're going to start with Maya from Austin, Texas. What's up, Maya? Maya asks, how do you reconcile ambition with surrender? I feel like I'm always either pushing or letting go, but rarely both. This is a really powerful question. First, let's do some word cleanup. Surrender does not mean submission. Surrender does not mean submission. Surrender is not quitting. Surrender in this case is letting go of any resistance, letting go of fear-based thoughts, scripts, ideas, narratives. And I'll tell you, I'm a very ambitious woman and I have a very ambitious life, which means ambitious goals and a lot high standards, right? And this means that I'm living with full drive every single day, going into uncertainty with that ambition, with my vision, with my heart, playing full out. And it's a lot. It's a lot every day. And that's not a complaint. That's actually love. Like I wouldn't want to live any other way. That's why I don't. And so how I reconcile surrender with ambition is when I feel at times, and it can come up at any moment, several moments, and it does often. When I feel like I'm very wounded up, when I feel there's a lot of heavy resistance, when I feel like it's hard to make a decision, when I feel, any of that kind of tense energy, that's where I pull on the surrender button or lever. And what that allows for me to do is just create space, right? Create space. And how I do that is going to look different. I mean, first and foremost, it's going to start mentally. That can mean, hey, you need to carve out some extra time to go inward. So that could be extra time to journal, extra time to meditate, extra time to be doing things that are physical that really like yoga. Yoga such, it's a moving meditation for me, but this is going to help me unravel that energy that's essentially winding me up, bringing in more attention and interrupting the fluidity and the flow of my ambition. So one of my favorite quotes of all time is from Hoist Gracie. And Hoist said, resting is training. Resting is training. What I love about that is we usually think of resting and training like they're two separate things. But Hoist is showing you through his words, they're not. They belong together. Resting is a part of training. And I believe that's the same with the surrender and the ambition, because if we don't have those moments of surrendering your tension, the resistance, if you're being wounded up in your narratives, internally, scripts, fear-based thoughts, maybe it's also you're getting a lot of, input from others, and it's maybe becoming too noisy inside, and you have to quiet down so you can actually hear what's most important for you to hear inside. Surrender, let go. Letting go doesn't mean giving up. Letting go doesn't mean you don't care. Letting go doesn't mean you quit. Letting go in this scenario means I am letting go of the things that are not serving me, that are not for me, and that are ultimately getting in the way of the vitality, the fluidity, and the flow of my ambition. So it's going to be a constant dance. And I think if you just first think about it, just from that perspective, like resting is training, surrender is part of your ambition. Perhaps just that reframe mentally can start to help you fuse them together more, not make them separate, so that when it's time to, pull on that surrender lever, it doesn't feel like you're disconnecting from your ambition. If anything, you are fortifying your ambition. You're keeping the path, the road in front of you clear of unnecessary anything, so that you can stay focused on the mission and hit your goals. All right, next question. Marcus T. from New York. What's up, Marcus? What's one brave decision you've made recently that brought up fear or excitement that felt like fear? Yeah, well, I like that you say that excitement that felt like fear, because for those who don't know already, a lot of times fear will produce the same physiological effects as excitement, right? Your palms can get sweaty, butterflies in the stomach, like all that, right? And that could be the same kind of, so this is important to discern, because this is not fear like your life's on the line. This is, sort of nervousness, kind of fear can bring on the same physiological effects as excitement. So I think one thing that I can think about that's fairly recent is just stretching myself in my business even more. It's a constant thing as an entrepreneur. It's fucking constant, but there's these other moments where it's a bigger stretch. Like it's like, ooh, something comes at you, and it's it's an opportunity, and it's one that you really want to take because you understand that this opportunity is necessary to move everything forward, to keep it elevating, to keep it expanding. And, sometimes when you have to make these decisions, there's other aspects of your life or your business that don't yet make it sort of safe to do that. Safe is in the sense of like, oh yeah, this is already dialed. Oh yeah, we got this over here. Oh, but you have to, in those moments, and in this case, like for me, it's like, well, I'm going to say yes because I know that this is the thing. And I'm going to trust that my saying yes to this thing that I know is vital. It's something that I want, but also vital for the growth, the expansion, the mission, the vision. And so I'm going to trust that what will become, everything that I need basically to see all of this through will arrive right on time. And it's really, and this is it's a constant, and not just in business, but I think in just life period, especially when you are living your authentic path, and there's no template that you're following, or, you're not trying to do what looks good on paper. You're literally trusting your heart, your intuition, your instinct, what you truly want to say yes to. This is going to be a constant. And so that's something I think for me most recently I can, bring into this answer. But I think what's important here about your question is, number one, being able to discern the difference between something that you're really afraid of versus something that you're excited about. Number two, it's this idea that when you feel called towards something to make a move, and this can be in any domain of your life, and you feel nervous, you feel like, ooh, this is stretching me, or you feel, any of that kind of sort of, I wouldn't even call it anxious. You could call it. And I wouldn't even, I'm not going to eliminate the word fear. Maybe you are afraid. That's okay. I don't really believe in the idea of being totally fearless. I think that when we feel any of this energy, but we feel called, we know we're being called forward, then the move to make is just one brave decision at a time. One brave decision at a time. This came up. I was recently speaking to a room full of incredible women in Chicago. It was an amazing 2-day event. And I was actually asked a question very similar, about how do I really take these bigger steps forward in my life to sort of follow my passion, when I don't have everything figured out. The simple answer, simple doesn't mean easy to do. It just means it's a simple answer, is one brave move at a time. We can get so caught up in trying to have everything figured out. And when we do that, we're just stacking more fear-based thoughts on top of us. But here's what's so important to remember. You can't make 50 moves at once. No matter what, you're going to only be able to make one fucking move anyways. So just hone in on that next decision, the next brave move. And when you do that, not only will you be saying something to yourself, even if it's not, a conscious thought, your entire system, certainly your subconscious, will recognize, I trust myself. I'm making this brave move. I trust myself. I trust myself. I trust myself. That is currency that you want to keep stacking that fucking self-trust. We do that one brave decision at a time. And I have learned in my life that one brave decision at a time has not only built a life that is so uniquely mine, so a life that fills me up from inside out, a life that I'm proud of, a life that is vision and mission led. But also I love to be able to say my entire life is courageous. It's brave. It's bold. So I think this is not only an important action to continually take one brave move at a time, but I think the overall message of just building your trust through those brave moves, being courageous, is everything. It's fucking everything. Self-trust. Without self-trust, you will never, ever, ever fully get to know your true self. It's impossible. So you got to have guts and you got to go for it. Okay, next question is Jasmine from Toronto, Canada. You often speak about courage and trust, and I know a lot of your work is with women. What does this work teach you about the relationship that women have with their hearts? Beautiful question. Super powerful question. So the first thing that comes to my mind, and again, I'm going to pull on this because the event that I just did in Chicago, when I speak, unless I'm teaching something, I channel. So I don't know actually what's going to come through. It's really interesting. Let me share this with you before I get into that. It's actually very on brand for me because I'm always talking about being courageous, like I just mentioned in the last question, and trusting yourself, like I just mentioned, to actually get in front of a fucking room full of people and not know what is going to come through is definitely an act of courage and an act of trust. And, it was a high frequency transmission. It ended up being really all about befriending and connecting with your heart, and why that is so vital, why it's so important, how it's actually the thing to do to actually learn how to trust yourself. So let me say that again. connecting with your heart is how you start to learn that you can trust yourself. Your heart is the portal to your soul. Your soul, your intuition, your authentic self speaks to you through your heart. So if you're closed, if you don't trust your heart, any and all of that, I mean, you're essentially shutting down the message, the conversations, the intuition that you came here with. We all came here with it from your unique imprint in this consciousness. That is your soul. We don't want to do that. We want to keep that channel open. We want to cultivate a very loving and trusting and revered relationship with our heart for so many reasons, you know? And so in this talk, it was all about that. It was all about really understanding that your heart is your highest intelligence. And we've been taught to believe that it's the opposite of that, that it's a mechanism of betrayal. Don't trust your heart. It's going to lead you astray. No, it's not. It's going to tell you the fucking truth. It's not always going to feel good either. There's so many times that your heart is directing you to do something that you don't want to do. Break up with that person, leave that job, have that conversation, get up and do the thing that makes your health stronger, better. And unfortunately, a lot of times what happens, and this is a deeper subject that I'll create an episode around because it deserves it, but the heart graciously takes the blame for the ego's work. All the fear, oh, but I love him. So then I tolerated, it's like, oh, really? Was it? Or was it emotional dependency, codependency? Was it, trauma bonding? Was it, fear-based? I can't this, if I let go of this. Again, it's deep. But that's all ego. And aspects of childhood or life that program us in unique ways but it comes, oh, but my heart, it's like, that wasn't your heart. Your heart's the one that's like, hey, get out of here. Get out. But you don't listen. Right. And again, like there's so many angles at this. I can't get stuck I would love to unpack it right now, but we got to keep moving. I got more questions to answer. But what I've learned and what I visibly saw, which was so special in that room with all those women, is when every word that was meant to come through me came through me. It was a very high voltage transmission. And it was so special. Women coming up to me after, and it wasn't just what they said. They all had their hands on their hearts when they spoke with me. And it was, your words really impacted me. Your words were the words I needed to hear today. I really want to get into a stronger relationship with my heart. And it was that was my, I caught that when they came up to speak with me, they had their hands on their heart. And that shows me, first of all, my words landed. And one of the things that I said, and I'll share it here, is, hey, I'm not here I don't want you to listen to me or just to look at me. I want you to feel me. If you can feel me and see how feeling goes right over the heart, then we can really connect versus just listening or looking, right? So what I caught in that room when these women came up to me is there's such an hunger for, I think, people in general, just to really get into that relationship with their heart and to also to be able to trust it. Because again, we've been groomed to believe that to do that is stupid. Like it's going to fucking take you into the worst zones of life. You're not going to be successful. You're going to become it's irresponsible. Like your heart's some flimsy mood. It's not. And I've so much more to say on the subject. And I talk about the heart often. I truly feel like part of my dharma is I came here, my soul came here to speak on behalf of the heart. And I'll end on this before I move on to the next question. The reason why I feel like it's my soul's duty or part of it, my core value number one is freedom. It's fucking freedom. And it's not just freedom living out here in the society, but it's especially freedom within me, right? And this is why I often say, if you're denying your authentic self from being expressed, there's something inside that's not free. And there's a lot of reasons why this can be the case, and I won't go into all those reasons. And it's not a bad thing, because some of these reasons come in, unfortunately, through your childhood, through, circumstances that weren't in your control, our control. And so you're kind of unconscious of the fact that you're not being true to yourself, to your essence. And so the work becomes to wake up, to become conscious, and to start shedding everything that is not you, so that your true self, I call your original self, can come through and be the full expression of you that you create your life with. And so when I think about the heart, I think, because I've thought very deeply about this, where is it easier to be controlled? Is it in the mind or the heart? And I'm speaking external world, you out there, you out here. Is it going to be easier for you, person, to control me by my mind or by my heart? Especially now I want you to think about me as the person who actually has a relationship with my heart. So I trust my heart. There's no fucking way you're controlling me by my heart. The mind is more susceptible. And the more you have a relationship with the heart, the harder it gets to be controlled by the mind too. Why? Because it has to filter through. Things have to, I'm not just listening with my mind. I'm feeling with my heart. So it's a whole nother sort of filtration system that things have to go through for you to agree with it or anything like that, right? So it's really interesting, because when I think about someone who's really rooted in their heart, who really trusts themselves, this is a person who is more free. Your sovereignty lives there. Your autonomy lives there. And that's what I want for all of you. I mean, it doesn't have to be your core value number one like it is for me, but I'm pretty fucking sure that you want to move through your life with the feeling of freedom. We all do. And so it's essential to befriend your heart and to learn how to trust your heart. So it's a huge part of my work, my mission. And I do love when I get to experience women, giving me that feedback, coming back and to, have a conversation with me, whether it's online or in person, and just sharing with me that they want that relationship. They want to trust themselves. They want that relationship with their heart. And what I love too is that, especially if it's as a result of listening or reading some of my writing, listening to my words, the reason why I believe they feel that way is because it feels like a truth to them. It resonates as a truth to them. So maybe they were already wanting it, and maybe those were the exact words that they needed. Maybe this is you right now. I don't know. Maybe you, any of you listening, watching this, maybe when you're really craving that feeling of like, fuck, I just want to trust myself more. I want to learn that, when my intuition comes in, I don't deny it, and I don't, water it down and, and not believe in it. I want to know that I can execute from my intuition. And the heart, the relationship with your heart, there's so much more that goes into it. It's where self-compassion becomes is activated, and we need self-compassion. We need it so bad. Oh my gosh. Like the person who doesn't know how to soothe themselves with compassion is the person who becomes rigid, and the person who becomes rigid is the person who becomes fragile, and the person who becomes fragile is fucking breakable. So get into that relationship with your heart. If you want some support with that, come into my Substack. I do, well, a lot of work around the heart, but I do a Heart Alchemy 30-day writing challenge, which is so special, 4 times a year. And a big part of that is to get into that relationship and to strengthen it with your heart. So you can go to the show notes and get information on how to join me on Substack. Let's get into the next question. Okay, next question is from Sophia in Miami. What's up, Sophia? What's up, Miami? I like this question. You've mentioned how important it is to be discerning with friendships. And I like your idea around friendships versus teammates. How do you discern the difference? How do you discern the difference? Okay, so I did a whole episode, and I feel like it's time to maybe redo an episode on friendships and versus teammates, right? One is not better than the other. It's just a different level of connection and commitment. Truly, that's the simple way to put it. Okay. I have a lot to say about friendships, relationships. So let me start with this. I have distilled a very complex subject, which is relationships. I've thought about what is it about a relationship that allows for, and when I say relationship in this case, I'm talking any relationship, romantic, friendship, business. We'll focus mostly on friendship and even romance here, right? What are the factors that allow for a relationship, the vitality of a relationship? So I want you to think not just how long, but how healthy and long that relationship goes. So when I say vitality, it's like the same thing as health span, right? We're healthy years, long years together as one. What does it come down to? Like what is necessary for the vitality of a relationship? And I boldly have distilled it down to 2 factors. Primary factors. Of course, there's other things, but these are the 2 primary factors. Number 1 is the degree of which your consciousness aligns. So my consciousness and your consciousness, they're in alignment. They don't have to be exactly the same degree, but they need to be able to be in alignment with each other. You know, if someone's consciousness is like whoosh, vast like the fucking Milky Way, and the other person is still kind of unconscious and sleeping a little bit, it's not a good or bad thing, just where people are at. It's going to be hard. It's going to be really hard for a lot of reasons because our consciousness, oh man, it dictates so much. First and foremost, our degree of like our empathy. You know, it's also where you kind of operate from. You know, a more closed consciousness is more egoic. And that it's just part of the human experience, the process. So we could start to move out of being very egoic as our consciousness starts to expand. You actually start considering more people than you, right? So you could be in a situation and I'll give you an example. Like for me, I'm never going to just look at it from my perspective. I'm going to pull up, I call it the bird's eye view, and I'm going to try and look around the whole situation. Let me look at that perspective. Let me do my best, you know? And this is part of having a bigger consciousness, because the person who doesn't is very narrow vision, right? So higher consciousness also means like your aperture just opens. There's more empathy. Just the things that you're interested in too are different. I'll leave that there. I don't want to go into sort of, making it seem judgmental, but everything is a process. People are where they are, but the degree of which your consciousness aligns will absolutely dictate how close you could be with someone and for how long. The next primary factor is values. Values are fucking huge. They're huge. And here's the thing. Most people don't know their core values. They actually don't know their core values. If I asked you right now, I'm asking you right now, I want you to think about it. Give me your top 5 core values. Can you fucking fire them off? Can you? And here's another crucial piece to this. I'm not talking about the idea of a value. So not what you think you should value, not what would look good to value, not what mom told you to value, but you want to know if it's your true value? You got to look in your life. It shows up because our values anchor us anchor our decisions. So my values are going to impact my decision-making process in any moment of my life, in every domain of my life, right? Additionally, your values are going to dictate your standards. If you don't know your values, you probably don't have standards that are substantial. Your standards dictate what you tolerate and what you don't. And that's really important too. You have to be able to recognize, like in my home, I have no fucking tolerance for a mess. None. You can call it OCD. It's not. I like my environment to feel good. Of course. I like things to be beautiful around me. You know, it's my sanctuary. It's my temple. It's my fucking altar. So I don't have any tolerance for a mess, you know, but I'm just giving you that as an example. I don't have any tolerance to, you know, for my health to take a hit. No, hell no. My health is fucking number one. So I'm going to make sure that the standards for my health are in place. And especially, you know, this is another huge factor to values. Your decisions, your standards, that tolerance, it's all impacting your behavior. Your behavior is shaping your life. How you're showing up or not showing up, it's painting your reality, right? Your values also impact your belief systems. So if you take the consciousness part that I told you about, and then you tack on values and take everything I just said, do you see why it's so, here, I'll give you an example, because we've all had this too. The friend that you were so close with for so long, and then it just gets harder to just have conversations because maybe you just accelerated in certain areas. Maybe it's business. All of a sudden you're super dialed in and you're like listening to fucking this podcast and modern wisdom and Hermosi. And you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to, you know, keep learning and keep growing. But your homie, your best friend for so long is not interested in any of that and still doing a lot of the same things that you were doing before. Nothing wrong with that. But it's going to become more difficult to not just have things in common. This is the bridge. This part's huge. We always hear, oh, I have so much in common. That's cool. That's like phase one. And honestly, it's very surface. So what I have framed to be even more important for relationships is, what do you have in connection? In common, surface. In connection, depth, devotion, right? So the more that you have things in connection with someone, the easier it's going to be to sustain a very high quality friendship, consciousness, values, in connection. And, you know, this is all a journey and a process. It's not nothing that you just immediately, you know, you're always kind of fine tuning, refining, learning, growing. And I think the discernment around energy with friendships is so important. So I'll just close on this. You know, the teammate factor for me is we just play different. Like I said, it's a degree of commitment and connection. You know, we're playing all out for each other. Like, I'm all in on my teammate, all in. Your wins, homegirl, my wins. Like, meaning what you want to win in your life is just as important to me. Just as important to me. I love you. I got you. I'm with you. Shit gets hard with us. We're not running away from each other. We run towards each other. There are going to be expectations, of course. People are like, don't expect anything. I'm like, really? Think of any great fucking sports team. You don't think they have expectations of each other? The teammates? Of course they do. Everyone's got to hold their part. We rely on each other. And in that kind of dynamic, that's why this is not for friendship. This is not for everybody. And that's okay. And we need to be able to discern the difference of like, who is my true teammate and who is my true, you know, friend. And we need both, right? Even if you've got one teammate and you've got a, you know, group of friends, like, great, you know, but the what's underneath all that is all the stuff that I just shared with you before, in connection, consciousness, values. So let that marinate. Think about it. Think about your values. Think about, how you're really connecting with the people that you're connecting with. If you're playing at surface level with yourself, you're going to have surface level people in your life. It's just how it goes. When you're anchored in your authenticity and, you're living from your heart, you're being true, you know your values, you show up with integrity, you are going to magnetize that back at you. People are going to come into your life and they're going to, it's like we're made of the same cloth kind of thing, right? Especially as you go through life more and more later in life, I know, for me, I don't need more friends. Doesn't mean I don't want more friends. Like, it doesn't mean I won't accept more friends. I just don't need them. I have a council, teammates that are fucking incredible, phenomenal, love them with my whole heart, trust them with my soul. And then I have so many incredible friends that are some of the best souls on the planet. And again, even just recently, new friends have come into my life and I'm so excited about it because I truly, at this point, if I even call you my friend or if I'm bringing you in, you've really already gone through a whole, like a filtration system for like I've there's things that you have to kind of get through for me to be like, yeah, here's why. Because if I'm calling you my friend, whether you're my friend or my teammate, it means I'm going to invest in you. I'm going to invest my energy. I'm going to invest my life. And that is not cheap. That's fucking priceless. I take my energy serious. It is the true currency of life. It's not time. It's not time. Time is a construct. We all come here with a limited amount of energy. So if I'm giving you my energy, then that means something until it doesn't anymore. And that's a conversation for another time. Love that question. All right, here's the thing. This next question feels impossible. And I don't say that word probably ever. But when it comes to music, it's so deep for me. It's so deep for me that this question is really fucking hard. I don't think I can do it. But I'm going to play with it a little bit just because it's fun. And I know, I already fucking know when I'm driving away and I'm going home, I'm going to be like, you forgot that song and that band and this. I already know myself. So just know that whatever is going to come out of my mouth, there's just so much more. And I'm not, Okay. So this question from Andre in LA. What's up, Andre in LA? Okay. If your life had a soundtrack, what 3 songs would be on it? Really, Andre? You're going to ask me to fucking put 3 songs on the soundtrack? Like, what? Music is so deep for me, you guys. Music is so deep. Music is my first love. It's my first language. I don't listen to my music. I live my music. And so this is what I'm going to do. In that statement right there, I'm going to pull on that. What do I mean by that? I just, had just recently I had Justin Andrews from the incredible podcast Mind Pump, and we had this moment where we're talking about music because he's also a music person, and he oh my gosh, it's the best clip ever. And he's just like, we were talking about how for some people music is like, oh yeah, it's cool, it's a good song. He's like, what do you mean it's a good song? It defined my whole childhood. It's like, that's exactly it. There's so much music, there's songs, there's bands that have become a fabric of my reality, have become built into me. So, I mean, man, and the diversity of my music is it's literally fucking galaxies. You'd be like, what? You could jump from that to that. One thing I will tell you is that I don't do commercial. I'm not a commercial girl, so don't like that. Never have been. Okay. I mean, where do I even begin? The reason why is because I have a lot of flavors in here. Very dynamic, in my interests and my style. And, so Some people are kind of more one-dimensional, and you can see it. You can see by the way they dress, oh, you're into that kind of music or that kind of style. Like it speaks really loudly. Whereas it's really hard to pinpoint me. And that's why it's always surprising for some people like, wait, you listen to, Al Green at fucking, yep, since I was 15 years old, 15, 47 now when you're listening to this. So I think back about like, man, when I was 14 and I was obsessed with the Sex Pistols, obsessed. I wanted to marry Johnny Lydon. Why? Well, I love the music. But when I think about it, and I've thought about it later, why was I so obsessed with them? Because they're all about being free, sovereignty, fucking so much to where they're screaming it at the top of their lungs. God save the Queen, anarchy in the UK. I mean, they're intense, but I understood that intensity. I loved it actually. And not all their music was screaming, but they just stood for independence. And that is so built into me, right? So I look at the Sex Pistols, I'm like, they were massive for me, huge part of my life. People who meet me now wouldn't necessarily see that, but fuck yeah. I mean, I'm not going to be able to distill it down to 3 songs. I'm just letting you know. I'm just going to name off a couple of bands for just a few minutes and then we'll close it up and I'll drive home and be like, oh, you forgot that. I mean, listen. Morrissey, the Smiths, I don't even know how to even start talking about that person. The band, some people don't like Morrissey but love the Smiths. He was the lead singer of the Smiths. Morrissey, I loved since I was 12. My sister introduced him. And the minute I heard his voice and I heard his lyrics, it was like something in my DNA just, yes. I remember going to one of his concerts and almost fucking passed out. Like, that's like, I'm not that girl either. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, but music is different. It hits me differently. There's neuroscience behind this, but for sure, How Soon Is Now would have to be one of the songs, just because that one song, there's so many Morrissey songs, there's so many Smith songs, but I feel like, you know what, just give it to How Soon Is Now. Just give it to that one because that's just like saying Morrissey is a part of this because fuck, so important to me. There's no way I can't bring up Depeche Mode. I couldn't give you the one song. Never Let Me Down Again, maybe. But I mean, I can't. I like, it makes me uncomfortable to try and do this, but it's fun. Depeche Mode speaks to my soul in a way that feels like, how do you know me so well? How do you get all the parts of me? Because you can go into the most sultry, sexy, dark fucking energy, and you're also just can't get enough, like it's just like upbeat and just like, and that is so me. And so I love Dave Gahan's voice, Martin Gore's lyrics. I can't. Favorite. I mean, how do I not bring up Zeppelin? Impossible. 07. There's specific albums where I'm writing like the way that band and those specific songs, like In the Waiting Line, songs that I won't even bring up because they're too intimate to me. And I'm weird like that. I'm like, no, unless I know you love it, I'm not giving it away. Because I have bled to those songs, to those artists. Sade, the fucking queen of queens of queens. Sade is part of my skin, part of my hair. It's like, since my first love and I bonded with Sade, 16 years old. It's a long fucking time, but she has been such a big part of me and my journey living in New York. Like, Sade is so New York, like taking the fucking subway and all the nights where I just didn't know what was going to come next, and I'm just braving it forward. And, she's there, she's soothing me. She's just, I'm telling you, something from Sade would have to be on there too, but there's so many bands that I didn't even mention that I know. Again, like, I don't know. It's impossible for me to answer this. Impossible. So I loved the challenge. Let me close on just saying that I hope that whether it's music or something in your life, that something can make you feel like this, like what music does to me. It could be dancing, it could be time in nature, anything. Because the deeper that we can feel, the deeper that we can live. The deeper we live, the higher we rise, right? Because if you can't feel as much, then you're kind of it's like there's a shell. Like you have to, again, my music has just hit every single fucking emotion and has been with me and continues to be with me so like deeply every single day of my life. Blondie. Fuck. Like there's so many fucking bands. I'm just like, Alice in Chains, 9 Inch Nails, wearing my, Metallica. Anyways, yeah. Such a good question. Appreciate the challenge. I hope these questions answered hit your hearts. I always want to be hitting you right in the heart. Again, if you want to get closer to your heart and also just be in a more intimate space with me where we get to connect more, go into my Substack. I write an essay there every week. I have a private podcast there that's more like little audio love notes, very raw, served over there, very different than this. And then those challenges 4 times a year, they're literally life-changing. And that's not me just saying it. I got the proof. That's what everybody who's in the challenge is experiencing. So you can learn about that in the show notes. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. I'm at Roxy Look, and I'll see you on the next one.